I'm Conor Northrup of MyMMANews.com, and I recently spoke to featherweight Kat Zingano, who takes on Olivia Parker at Bellator 256 on April 9th. Zingano talked to me about the time she threw a hat at Conor McGregor, not overlooking Olivia Parker, and about most recently earning her jiu-jitsu brown belt. Bellator 55 is going on right now. Do you have any plans to watch the fights later, anything like that?
No, I don't watch fights when I'm in fight camp. I'll watch the highlights later and I'll check in and see how everybody did. But when I'm at home, I gotta turn the adrenaline off because it's on all day long when I'm at the gym, and it's on all day long while I'm at these practices. So when I get home, I just turn into a human, and I'm a blob on the floor or in my bed usually.
Yeah. Is that something you've always done, or did you kind of notice that as you were training, as you were fighting more, you were just have this energy all the time?
I think I learned about it after I started fighting a little bit more. Getting together on the weekends in between fights and watching fights is totally cool. I love it. I love the snacks. I love watching the fights. I like having drinks, all of that. I love that. That's when I get to watch and do the learning and be a fan. As I've gotten older and as I've gotten more into fighting and everything, I really appreciate the moments of just quiet in between. So when I'm in a training camp, it's go to the gym, eat, the way I have to eat, drink the gallons of water, and then just go home and be with my kid and relax. So I can rest and be totally rejuvenated for the next time I have to go back. When I mess with that time in the middle, if I have too much adrenaline, if I'm watching or doing something that's just really exciting, I'll notice that, I depleted myself a little bit for what I could have given at the gym. So I just, I try to keep it mellow.
Yeah, cool. And I want to talk to you about something you reposted on Instagram very shortly, not that long ago, but it was UFC 184, I believe. It's when you threw your hat and almost hit Conor McGregor. I just want to know, what kind of made you revisit that?
Honestly, I was it's funny because I don't even know what year that was, but it was before Reebok because I was in my own stuff, and I was getting there's some Conor fans that don't understand the backstory of that, which the backstory is that I went to throw my hat into the crowd, but I caught my arm on the hood of the lens of a camera, and so it just catapulted at him instead of up. And I didn't even know he was there. I didn't even know that I did that until after the fight when people were laughing and telling me, And so hardcore Conor fans who apparently don't know that we're friends too, will occasionally reach out to me in my DMs and say the most hardcore stuff because they're defending him,
Yeah.
And they think I hate him and I did that on purpose. And it's very weird, where it's I understand you don't know what happened, but threatening me or giving me this hate, it's very strange. So after years of random pop-ups of that, I was like, you know what, maybe I'll just explain. And so I did, and it was funny. And I just thought about
squash it once and for all.
Yeah, because it's very I'm you must be very stressed out that you are still thinking about this 6 years later when it wasn't even I'm not even mad. I wasn't mad. It was just a malfunction, but okay.
Yeah. It was in 2015. I did my homework. And what's crazy about that too is 10 months after that fight, your current opponent now, Olivia Parker, was actually making her amateur debut. So it's kind of nuts, when you think about that difference in experience. But I was wondering, what's it like for you kind of coming into this fight? Because I think it's been almost 9 years since you fought somebody who had less than 6 professional fights.
I don't know. I haven't thought about that because that part doesn't matter to me. What matters to me is training for this minute by minute, knowing that they're over there doing the same thing, and that when they say go, we're even. Until we're not, we are even. And I'm just preparing for that.
Yeah. What is your kind of breakdown of her? Do you have kind of analysis?
I don't have much to say. I watched her. I asked my coaches to come up with her best fights, and to show me what they could have heard of the things that I need to be worried about. And I have them do that at the beginning of a training camp. And then I can't look at it at all again for the rest, again, for the same reasons where I just got to control my adrenaline. I got to control where I'm putting my energy, but they study. and they keep watching, and they they'll trick me into doing things, and they'll make me train things that I will need to adapt to or that I should expect. And then, they'll throw in the stuff that I won't expect and that are completely not like her. So I have to just keep working on my problem solving. And, really the whole thing is catered around me and my reactions and my aggression and me as an offensive fighter and me as a defensive fighter, and just covering all the bases. So when I go in, I'm just prepared,
Yeah. And you talk about too, like how you're not really worried about like her record and being so like, I guess, young into her career. I mean, she's not, I know she's older than you, but is that something that you've always done in your career? Have you always been able to kind of block out the records and who the people are maybe and all that stuff? Or is that something that you gained over time and with experience?
It's been forced for sure. So this fight included, this is the third opponent that I had to get ready for. So I had 2 different ones, and then, this is the third one. As I was coming up in MMA, that was so much more often because the women were a smaller pool, and there was, for whatever reasons, you'd go through so many fighters in a training camp where it's like, okay, this week, I'm sorry, it changed to this person, and you guys are fighting at 135 instead of 125. And it was just all over the place. And the more that I kept hearing about this fighter that I was expecting, and I'd get ready for that person, and I would just think about that and do whatever, and then that one would fall through and I'd have another one come in. It's a whole different shift in your mind. One minute I'm fighting a boxer, the next minute I'm fighting a judoka, the next minute I'm fighting a wrestler. And if every single time I knew about it and I had to get nervous all over again for each new person instead of settle in, it just was this constant like mind craze that I just was like, you know what? Don't tell me anymore. Just what day am I fighting? What's the weight class and where? And that's it. Because I just need to show up being my best, doing what I need to do, because all of that I can't control. And every single time the opponent changes, it weirds me out. So I don't want to be, I don't want to care anymore. So just don't even tell me, like, tell me the week of, tell me whatever and who they are, what they look like, so I know who to square off with in the room. Because it was too much, it was just constantly changing, and I couldn't care. I had to stop caring. So I'm still there. Obviously on these bigger shows and these bigger promotions, like, of who everyone is because you guys are all in the same place, same area. And, I know of who she is. I know of who all of these girls are. I know who the girls were that were potential for me in the UFC, because you have to. And it's a lot less common that your opponents change, but it still can happen. And so hanging on to what you think you have, and then that goes away, it can be bothersome. It's the same thing as picking a fight song. If they all of a sudden don't let that fight song be your song anymore, it can't freak you out. So like, you just can't care. I can't care. I know everybody's dangerous. I know I need to show up my best. I need to work my ass off. I need to, cross all my T's and dot my I's and walk out there knowing I did everything I could to get ready, period. Whoever they throw in front of me, doesn't matter.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad they're telling you at least who your opponent is a couple like a weeks in advance, so that you're not squaring off with like one of the ring girls or something. She's like, why is Cat in my face or something like that? So that's good.
Yeah.
And like you talk about that and like what crazy times we live in, right? Because now it's like, it used to be like, like a week in advance if like your opponent changed or something. That was kind of crazy. But now with COVID and everything, it can happen on a dime.
Yeah, it's very unpredictable, like where you even have to kind of keep that in the back of your head, where it's like, who knows how everyone's gonna show up testing right now either, or who they know might have tested weird. So you still just got to get ready as if, no matter what. And like that has its own level of confidence, because you're like, damn, I'm a badass. Like you could throw a truck in front of me right now and I feel like I know what to do. But at the same time, it's like yeah, just the unpredictable nature of it is tricky.
Yeah. And just a couple more for me too, Kat. With Parker too, is there an area, I know you said like you don't spend too much time, your coach are kind of looking at that, but is there an area where you feel like she maybe is the most dangerous?
And anywhere and everywhere, same as everybody else. I'm taking everything seriously. She could have learned something that she's never done before. And I will never have known it if I tried to watch her videos. You know, that's how I like to live. I like to live in something where no matter what you looked up on me, I'm going to hit you with something you weren't expecting. And so I expect everyone to think how I think. And that is where it gets dangerous.
Yeah. And I saw too, I think it was March 18th, you earned your brown belt. Well, I mean, what was that like?
It was a huge deal, you know, and a very important thing to happen in my life. I've had my purple belt for, I mean, gosh, it's got to be like 11, 12 years now. I found a picture of myself on the podium at Worlds with a silver and a gold medal, with 4 stripes on my purple belt against Angelica Galvao in the finals, with 4 stripes on my purple belt. That was 2011.
Wow.
So, you know, I felt like it was time, and not time just because it was, you know, so much time, but because I finally felt like I could, you know, put that behind me, but still, like, you know, show the love and the respect for it, but also be able to move forward, because all of this, everything you see started with me walking onto a jiu-jitsu mat. I did wrestling before that. That's obviously something that's in my back pocket, but MMA and in my career and all of this, like, it started with me wanting to walk into a gym to lose some weight after having a baby, you know, and I found jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to see if I could do jiu-jitsu against somebody trying to kick my ass, and that brought me MMA, you know. So it's the goal from the beginning was to get my black belt, and that's always going to be there, you know. So
Yeah.
it was a big deal to take a step towards that and to close the chapter of what was from before into going into now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a crazy story that kind of brought you into your career now. And you talk about the purple belt. I mean, that thing must have been, what did that look like by the time you got your brown belt?
It looks like a white belt. It's very tattered, yeah. When I walked in the room, a lot of times people were like, that's a beat up purple belt.
Are we going to see any brown belt skills on April 9th?
I've been loving going to jiu-jitsu. Like, I've been having so much fun at Atos with these killers. Like, they're such like savages there, and like it's a battle of inches there, and it's such a like crazy fight every single time. There's little rivalries inside the gym at all times, so every match is a real match, you know. And so yeah, I've been working with like some of the best in the world, and doing good. I'm happy. Yeah.